Hi, Matthew. Thank you for having me on your show again. I'm Victor Cantore. I'm the president and CEO of Amex Exploration. We have an advanced project with a 43101 resource and PA in a good jurisdiction in Quebec.
Good to see you again, Victor. Happy New Year to you, sir. Right, we saw you back in September. It was a mixed end to the year, quite frankly. Obviously, you put out the maiden resource. It wasn't quite what people were expecting. Followed up by the PEA, looks pretty good to me. Do you think people now understand what it is that you've got?
I think so. I mean, really, what we wanted to show with the resource is that it is an economic mine, and you could go forward. And what we're doing to continue on is we're gonna move forward to the development of this mine, and at the same time we continue exploring. I mean, when you look at the property it's on our website, it's on our PowerPoint presentation where the gold zones are. You're looking at maybe a little over 20 or 25% of the property has been explored, and that's just where the main Beaupré block is. You know, you look on the south part where it's all volcanic rock. There's been no holes for gold. You look on the north side where there's a volcanic complex, lots of VMS potential there. So we're really advancing this forward on two fronts: exploration to grow it, and also to show that this was an economic mine. You can actually put this into production. And again, I know we'll go over the numbers later, but you know, on a pre-tax 2,600 gold, which will way above that right now, it would generate $224 million per year.
Right. Okay. Because I think that's interesting. So I was remembering the old numbers, which were sort of 60% IRR at 2,000 bucks with an NPV of about 950. So obviously at where are we today? 2,900. 2,900. I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime, but here we are, folks. So it's an exciting time if you can show that you've got a mine which has got you've got a project with the ounces in the ground. And I guess that's why you've kind of put out the recent announcement that you have with regards to delivering on additional multiple gold zones in the Perron gold project. Did you feel after that reaction last year that you needed to show that, look, this thing carries on, that we've got more where that came from?
Absolutely. So when we made that press release where we showed all the multiple zones, so they've been drilling in areas where there's blanks in the stopes, and it's not blanks because there was no gold there. There was blanks because of lack of drilling. So we wanted to show, look, we continue increasing the ounces in the known zones, but you know, the reality is that we really want to grow this a lot more by making new discoveries. The dream is to find another high grade zone, and if not other ones. So it's really looking forward to making more and more new discoveries on the property. There's, like I said before, there's probably 70-80% of the property that has not seen a drill hole.
Right. And so how do you go about expanding the mineralized footprint at Perron? I mean, how much drilling are you going to be doing? You know, will you be adding this to the next sort of resource update, and if so, when?
So right now we're in compilation mode. We've been using AI, machine learning. So it's different companies, they call it differently. So one calls it AI, one calls it machine learning. We have our own geophysics. I know in our days, or at least my days, we would call that software, but it's advanced software. I mean, what's great is that we do have 500,000 meters of drilling. So that 500,000 meters of drilling, you put that into a database, and you should be able to see clearly what else that you have on the property. So I don't have numbers for you yet, but I can tell you there's 2 drills on the property right now. We are continuing drilling, and we will make announcements as we continue moving forward.
Right, and I kind of want to have a more commercial conversation, something realistic conversation with you today about, because if I look at the kind of drop off after the announcement of the maiden resource, it was kind of clear that a lot of the people who were invested in your company didn't quite understand the process, because you would put out these headlines of super high grade numbers, but perhaps the intervals were not noted as part of the calculation in their head. So do you think this is a chance to kind of reset the register and maybe have a slightly more informed audience that you're talking to in terms of how this moves forward? And so in that case, how do you explain it to them if they're coming at this cold?
Yeah, I get it. So I think the misunderstanding on the resource came from, so you put out a resource, it was 1.639 million ounces. The market expectation was probably, in excess of 2, probably as much as 3 million ounces. So I think the disappointment there is saying, okay, so hold on a second. You just drilled 500,000 meters. You spent $100 million in this project. Are you going to have to spend another $100 million to get to 3 million ounces? And that's not the point at all. The point is, like, yes, we put $100 million of exploration, but we actually put together a PA and a 43-101 that it is an economic mine. Now, just like I said before, take all that information, so your cost of discovery of gold should be a lot less when you do this properly going forward. And I think that's where the disappointment was. Like, okay, so how are you going to get to much more ounces? But the question is, yes, we will get to those ounces at some point in time. But right now, I can show you that this will be a highly economic project. And when you're making this kind of free cash flow on this project, you could end up, the growth will be multiple times if you put this thing into production, and you make these numbers happen. And that's where I'm getting that. That's where you can actually start drilling later on in the life of this company without having to dilute, because you'll have all the free cash flow to do it.
Okay, and so let's talk about the type of drilling that you're going to do, because if you were cheeky and you wanted just to grab those headlines and maybe get a bit of sentiment going, you might do a bit more infill drilling in there and get into kind of higher M&I categories. But what is the plan going forward in terms of either extending known zones or defining entirely new deposits? How are you coming at it?
So the final we can probably have a conversation here in the next couple of weeks, because the geos will get back to me. But again, it's still going in both directions. It's not just infill drilling. So if we want to do, let's say for example, we want to move forward with the feasibility study, then yes, we have to take the high grade zone, and we'd have to drill out the high grade zone to convert the inferred into indicated. But there would still be drills working at the other level, like at the exploration level. That's why we're really going in two prongs. Like we reached a fork in the road, and we're advancing on both ends.
Okay, so because you got to work out exactly whether how much the expanded zones could contribute to the economic viability of the project. Or if you're talking to a slightly different audience in terms of, a larger company, say, who perhaps want to see the viability of the region and the potential with a different type of drilling program. So you've got that dance to do in terms of who you need to impress, don't you?
Oh no, absolutely. And again, that's why I'm going to go in both directions. And it's not like I definitely want to go in both directions. There will be infill at some point when we have to convert it up, so we can actually go do a feasibility study. But definitely exploration is where you do have a big you do get a lot of upside on the potential here. And I'm really excited, with all the information that we have. We should be going into new zones. So I'm not just talking about the old zones. I'm talking about the new zones. And infill drilling would really be on the high grade zone. Like that's the one that you want to convert from all the inferred. You want to convert it into indicated.
Right. And do you see that? Look, you're an exploration company up until now. Now we're sort of early stage development because you've done a PEA, but do you see your job as trying to answer those questions around sort of improving mine sequencing or potential mine sequencing, or lowering, production costs, or because if I look at last year, a lot of companies sort of changed their business models the last 2 years really to move from exploration into, look, we can be a cash flowing company within a 2-3 year period, and that kind of got them some credit. That got them a lot of valuation. They helped with the share price, etc. So, do you see yourself having to answer those questions yet, or do you think you can carry on as a pure play exploration company because it's kind of what you're good at?
No, absolutely. We're good at exploring. We're going to continue doing that. But I definitely believe that we should also be moving in the area of developing this project. Again, it's, the numbers speak for themselves. When you look at these kind of numbers, like, this is something that you wanna get your hands on. I mean, you look at the NPV, and again, I'll refer everything back to the free cash flow. The free cash flow is really what's important. That shows your costs. If your costs are already low enough, and I think we already have some of the lowest costs in the industry. Definitely in this part of the world. Pre-tax here, even if I go to the after tax cash flow, it's still $1.2 billion over 10 years. I mean, that's a lot of dividends you could be handing out. That's a lot of exploration money that you could be using that for. So that's why I think it's very important that you do move in that direction. You proved to the market that, look, we have a viable mine here. With these ounces, you can actually put this into production, and by the time you put it into production, you should be able to find more ounces in the known zones, plus make new discoveries. And I think that's how the company should move forward and bring value to the shareholders.
Do you do that alone?
No, I have a team. We have
No. I'm talking about, is this a sort of JV opportunity for other bigger companies, bigger balance sheets are going to come in and step forward as a strategic investor, or however they want to frame it?
Look, it's all with all the waivers, it's speculation at the end of the day. But when you look at the market, you've got all the producers have gone up substantially in price. The developers, the explorers haven't really. They will at some point. What are the first projects that go? They're usually the higher grade projects. Those are the ones that make the most money and make the most sense. And not just high grade. You want to have high grade. You want to have jurisdiction. You want to have a set of rules on the permitting. And we check all those boxes. So eventually, I could see somebody coming along, but it's the size of the project and the viability of the project is small enough that you could go at it alone. Do I believe personally that? And again, this is not investment advice. Far from it. Do I believe that somebody will come along and eventually say, okay, thank you. You went far enough. Yeah, I do believe it at some point. It will happen as you see the M&A happening in the industry. So
okay, but you've also got Eldorado Gold already in there as a strategic. What's your expectation about? Do they start to get more involved with you? Do they want? Do they have expectations of how you go about doing what you're doing at the moment? Because these guys set this up to give themselves optionality of maybe buying into this thing or getting involved somehow. So what's that relationship like at the moment?
Yeah, the relationship is great, and I encourage, if you take our PA numbers and you look at what the Lamaque numbers that came out in 2017, and you will see that to me, it's not that I've confirmed it with them, but I look at those two numbers, then I understand why Eldorado came in. When you look at those numbers, it actually looks like Lamaque very, very, and Lamaque just recently, they just extended the life of that project for another 9 years, where I think it was approaching near the end. We meet with Eldorado once. Our technical team meets with Eldorado once a quarter. I think it's very important. They do give us a lot of great technical advice. But it's 9.9%, right? We're not married to anybody. We're still open. The main objective for myself and the executive team is definitely shareholder value, as we are shareholders ourselves. So we're very open. We're working with everybody, and again, we're working great with Eldorado. So things are moving along nicely.
Okay, so it sounds like in terms of the focus and the emphasis for you, this expansion program that you're looking at, that's about driving the NPV. So that the market can see the size of this opportunity. Like 10-year life of mine is good. It's bare minimum that banks will want to get it invested into this thing, and your margins are fantastic, certainly at today's prices as well. So again, just in terms of how you tread that path between whether it be Eldorado or others that could come in, we've seen that multiple times. People come in and gazump the incumbent strategic, and obviously playing the market game, because at some point, presumably, you'll have to kind of go out to market and ask for more money. So the key drivers for you in terms of getting that share price up, getting that market cap back up, is going to be all around this drilling, is it?
Oh, absolutely. Drilling and more news on the development side. You just keep moving along there. I have my flow through dollars. I have to spend it by December 2025, which I'm fully, the program is fully funded until the end. I will still have hard dollars left over. We do manage our G&A quite tight, so we're fine there. We're treading along those lines.
Okay, and just want to talk about the drilling a little bit, because you put a lot of detail into the press release. Okay, and what do you think some of the challenges in terms of the expanding and defining these gold zones are? Because you talked in the past about maybe some of the higher grades being at depth, and therefore there's a kind of cost implication about chasing those, and in terms of mining costs, extraction methods, etc. So how do you play this in terms of the type of ounces and where you think you'll find them?
On all the gold zones, going like on all the known gold zones that are within our study. Once your main development is in, it's fine, because you're drifting over. So it's really cost effective by finding more gold. Like let's say a team zone, for example. If at depth you would find another high grade zone that it goes down very deep, that's fine. It's not too far away from the main high grade zone, so you're drifting over. So that's why we're trying also to focus a little bit on that, on the known gold zones. We're trying to go in deeper, but in a systematic way. Because that you're going to be adding profitable ounces now. And then the new gold zones, we'll have to see where we discover new zones, and if you can drift over there. And normally you can drift over once you've got your main portal. Those drifts can go over for kilometers. And again, I'm getting ahead of myself here, because I'm not a mining engineer, but I'm just repeating what I've heard at meetings. So in case it's a mining engineer they're talking, but apparently yes, you can drift over for kilometers, not an issue.
Okay, and in terms of like how you allocate your budget going forward in terms of the expansion and extension versus some of these underexplored areas, what's the balance going to look like in terms of dollars or meters spent?
So it's going to depend. It's going to depend on our decision to move forward with a PFS. If we want to move forward with a PFS, then you'll have to focus. Then you'll have to get a budget for the high grade zone to convert. But I still want to allocate. I still want to allocate a good amount in exploration. So I think right now it most likely would be like in the 50-50 range, where the money that's left over that has to be spent for 2025 will be to expand known zones and to make new discoveries, and at the same time doing the infill drilling on the high grade zone to convert it over so you could advance the project. Which makes it much more attractive, because once you've got it, once you could actually put a pre-feas or a feasibility study on this, it makes the accuracy a lot better, and it really demonstrates that this project is viable and makes a lot of money at these levels.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't doubt it. Just in terms of like setting out the kind of milestones for 2025 that we should be looking at, can you lay those out for us, and also how we should evaluate those deliverables when they come?
Sure. So one of the main things is definitely drilling and drill results. That definitely we should be looking at that'll be coming out. I'll keep it as a big word on development, because development means a lot of things. Development, you're talking about making your application for environmental permits. Development. If I go look back at Osisko Mining, when they were moving forward with their project, it's something that we're evaluating. But they ended up doing a bulk sample, which they ended up proving up that after they did the bulk sample, their gold content was actually substantially higher. So that's within the word of development. So definitely moving forward on the development side, and looking to working much more closer with Eldorado and or another strategic. I do believe that the developers and the explorers are going to be seeing a lot of action coming up shortly here, right after this rally with, with all the producers that's coming in through. So
Right. So there's a few things that on the development side that it's optionality on the table for you and things that you'd look to evaluate and move forward if appropriate. Okay.
Absolutely.
I won't push you on those yet.
No, we'll get talking to it. No, it's just
Yeah.
there's really a lot, and I will get much more precise. I think we're going to see each other a lot more often. There's going to be a lot going on, so I definitely want to communicate. Whenever we put out a press release, I want to communicate it, so we can talk about it and go into finer detail. Absolutely. I'm
Fantastic.
really looking forward to that.
Like I say, for me, it's kind of the share register as it stands. It kind of it's interesting to me. The people perhaps who are there now and maybe the people who left. It's kind of quite telling, because I think this is probably one of the better gold exploration stories of last year, and maybe it's a question of understanding and communicating and showing people you've got an economically viable mine today. This year is going to be about improving on that. So look forward to seeing you again, Victor, and appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks.